Hi, ladies. How are you today? Welcome to the Woman and More. Once again, this is your girl, Fumi Shoyomi. I hope you're doing great. I hope you've had a wonderful week prior to now, and I hope the rest of your week is going to be a great one. I had the opportunity recently of talking to a group of friends, a group of women, and we're talking about what are the things that keeps a lot of us from progressing in what we know we should be doing. Or let's put it this way, what are the things that is stopping us from taking that first step? And I know that this week I started talking a little bit on failing to start. And you will hear like big words for it, but I would just say preemptive failure. That's the word I'm going to give to it, preemptive failure. I will be touching a little bit on preemptive failure and the reason for even the feeling of failure in the first place, and some things that we can do, which does not take the place of professionals, doesn't take the place of coaching, it doesn't take the place of mentoring, but some things that we can start doing ourselves to be able to change our mindset about failing, to be able to change our mindset of not even wanting to start. When we are talking about preemptive failure in the pursuit of purpose, it refers to not wanting to start something or wanting to, but not being able to start something just because of the fear of it's not going to do well. And when we anticipate failure, even before setting our foot on the path, we already uh, put ourselves down in a place of success. And when we as human beings, women, when we have this self-defeating mindset, it takes God and ourselves to be able to clear our mind and be able to wash ourselves clean of those thoughts in order to be able to step forward and do necessary things. Preemptive failure will make a person refrain from doing necessary things, things that they will possibly or probably be successful in. But just that fear alone keeps us away from even starting. And when we don't start, we are just in one place. And it feels like we don't have a purpose driven life. And the truth is that a lot of people do have this mindset of, I know what I want to do, I know how I need to do it, but the fear of failure stop them in the path and they can't even go ahead with it. Touching on some of the things that actually causes uh, preemptive failure of starting, there are a lot of things. I believe there are a lot of things, but I'll touch on some of them. Maybe you don't have people around you motivating you to know that you are capable of doing that, which you plan to do. Maybe you don't have that even inner motivation to just go for it. Lack of motivation a lot of time will cause one to just give up, believing that, oh, and when you already concluded in you that a thing will not work out, it will take the grace of God to undo that thought. Also, lack of confidence. A lot of time we have what it takes, we are capable, we have the values, we have the resources, but we are not just confident in ourselves. And that's kind of tied into lack of motivation sometimes when we're not confident enough to know that we're capable of doing something, then we're not motivated to take a step. We are not motivated to start. We're not motivated to push ahead most of the time. Perfectionism is one. And as I say, 99% of people in the world has fear to start one thing or the other. It's not everybody that is perfect that says, oh, I want to start this and I'm just going to go for it. A lot of people have the fear of what if doesn't work out. So a lot of people will think that way, but some will still go ahead and say, let me try. Whereas some will just take it that way and say, okay, I'm not going to do this because I'm not sure of it. That doesn't mean the person is perfect, though. That doesn't mean the person knows how to do everything right. It's just when you don't want to put anything out in the face of others because you don't want them to pick you out. You don't want them to like find crooked points. You don't want them to find mistakes. You don't want them to feel like she's not doing it right. And that will stall us from taking steps. That will stall us from starting. That will stop us on our track from even progressing because of that perfectionism in us. I will say I was one that was like that. And I had to like work on my mindset to just do that which I plan to do. I was a person that believes, oh, it has to be in certain way before it can be shown to the world. You don't want the world to see that something is not right, or you don't want them to see that something is not done well, or you don't want them to see that, oh, she's not there yet. You just want to come out one day and be like, I'm a six-figure earner, and now everybody, I'm here. How about the steps you take to get there? That is what actually encourages other people to want to do for themselves. So perfectionism a lot of time will hold us back from starting. Fear, which is the fear of failure anyway. Fear of what if. Fear of I don't know will hold us back. Lack of confidence, which makes you unmotivated, will hold you back. Sometimes we're just overwhelmed. It's just too much going on. And you're like, okay, I don't know. And one last thing I want to mention, which I feel like if we are to talk about that, almost everybody in the world has had one thing or the other that has happened in the past that might actually stop them from doing anything. And that is negative experiences. Some of us have had negative experiences from people that we love, from people that are supposed to love us, from friends, from families, from colleagues, from business partners. And we carry those negative experiences with us. And every time we want to do any other thing or we want to start any other thing, we just kind of stall, believing that, oh, that thing that happened previously might happen again. But the truth is, you don't know. It's not everybody in the world that is a bad person. It's not everybody in the world that is a mean person. It's not everybody in the world that cannot be worked with, that you can work with. So if you use the experience of one person or few people to generalize and do not want to do anything with any other person, you will be stuck in one place. And that is just preemptive failure. Because, oh, I had this experience with this person. Maybe if I do this with this other person, he or she might be like those previous people. Those are just preemptive failure. And those are some of the reasons that people don't move ahead to do something. Some of the reasons why people have that feeling of failure. And before I go on and just talk about the little or few things that we can do for ourselves that can maybe guide us closer to changing that mindset with the help of God and maybe with the help of professionals. Before I go ahead and do that, I want you to know that as far as I'm concerned, there's really nothing like failure. It's just an opportunity to do something again. It's just an opportunity to do something differently. It's just an opportunity to take all the things you've learned and mix them together, take out the one that you don't need, put in the one that you need, and go at it again. if you've seen different games, let's just say different games. But I would say I don't watch a lot of boxing. I don't watch a lot of boxing, but when I was little, I used to watch wrestling a lot. And I know a lot of people, maybe in their youthful years, like my age, did the same thing. I will watch Hulk Hogan, I will watch Undertaker, and a lot more that I can't remember their name. But what I'm driving at with regards to this is when they go into the ring to fight their opponent, and maybe their opponent beats them up, they come back when it's time to like rest, when they come back to the side of the ring to take a little bit of rest. You hear their coaches either telling them their weak points or telling them all the opportunities that the other person had on them. Oh, he's watching your left leg, or he's watching how your right arm is moving, or this and this and that. When they go back into the ring for the next round, you see that their fighting technique kind of change a little bit, and they might actually overthrow their opponent, or they might just be able to tackle that opponent in some area that they were not doing before. That doesn't mean the opponent will still maybe beat them up, but at least they've taken some lesson and able to do better. That is the way I take when you do something and it doesn't work, or it's not successful at the first trial or second trial. You go back. Why did I miss this? Why didn't this work? And all that. You put them on the table. Like, oh, this thing I did is not supposed to be here. You take them out, you throw it away. Or I did this differently. I'm supposed to do it like this. You reshape it and come back at it again. And even if you don't get the 100%, when you come back at it again, I bet you will not be at the 10% that you were previously. And that's where I take failure. For me, it's an opportunity to learn. For me, it's an opportunity to come again. For me, it's an opportunity to do it again and do it much better than I did the previous time. So, that aside, I just want us to have that thought in our mind. How are you taking uh, a failed opportunity? How are you taking failure? I don't really use that word, but I'm gonna put that word out for those that use that word. How do you take failure? Think about it. How do you take failure? You might have a lot of reasons why you are afraid of starting. You might have a lot of reasons why you have fear of even stepping out, of starting. And they might be genuine. But should that stop you from forging ahead? Should that stop you from pursuing your purpose? Should that stop you from finding purpose? Should that stop you from fulfilling purpose? No. Because when you allow that to stop you, then you don't even have the opportunity to impact generations. You don't even have the opportunity to make a difference because you refuse to take a step. As children of God, women that are more, that are in pursuit of purpose, or that have found purpose and working at fulfilling purpose. What are the things that we can do to change our mindset from preempting failure, to change our mindset from failing to start? What are the things that we can do that can guide us to starting, that can guide us to making that effort, that can guide us to trying where we are? What are the things that has been stopping me in my track? What are the things that are not allowing me to start? Is it failure? Is it fear of failure? Let's deal with that. Let's deal with that. Because you are more, and the Lord has taken fear. He says He has not given you the spirit of fear. And because He has taken fear out of the equation for you, you don't have to fear that you are going to fail. You cannot fail just because your father do not fail.
Let's talk a little bit about dealing with preemptive failure. it actually requires us to overcome mental barriers that are stopping us in the way of not starting at all. And some of the mental barriers are the ones that we've mentioned earlier, the feeling of being overwhelmed, lack of confidence, lack of motivation, the fear of failure itself, and just perfectionism, things like that. We have to overcome that. And in order to overcome that, there are like things that we can do ourselves, little things that we can do maybe by ourselves with professionals to really get to a point where we know that, okay, I can do this. And one of it, which is a major one, is just to acknowledge that we have that fear. If you or myself, we've gotten to a point where we acknowledge that we have a fear of failure, you have a fear of failure, that is problem resolved halfway. Because most of the time, what we see is not accepting of the fact that they have something going on. So if you get to a point where you acknowledge and you know that, okay, this is going on, I have a fear of failure, then you've gotten your answer halfway, because you have to acknowledge to be able to seek help. You have to acknowledge to even want to talk about it. You have to acknowledge to even want to talk to people that can help, coaches, mentors first. You have to feel like, okay, something is wrong. The next thing I will say is we should start small. So before we start small, the first thing will be to start setting goals. So when you acknowledge that, oh, I have a fear of starting this project in my own little space, I can just, okay, maybe it feels so daunting. Maybe I'm already overwhelmed. Maybe it feels like, oh, this is bigger than you. How about set goals? How about set small goals? How about write goals down? Like we've talked about goal sets previously. How about start setting goals that you know you can achieve? And that is where I would say start small. Part of starting small is writing those little goals. Goals that you can daily, weekly, monthly achieve. That won't be too much on you. That won't become something so elaborate and it feels like, okay, this is what I was thinking about from the beginning. This is the reason why I don't want to do this. So acknowledge you have that fear. Start writing little goals towards your purpose, towards your task, and start small. Start small. Small for everybody is different. Everybody defines their small, their big in different ways. So try to define your own starting small and start small. Also, you've heard me say that whatever we're talking about today does not take the place of professionals, does not take the place of coaches, of mentoring, of even of praying. It does not take the place of even seeing a doctor if it requires that. So if you need to seek help, if you think this is something I cannot overcome by myself, this is something that is bigger than me, this is something that I can deal with, then you need to seek help from professionals. Whatever professionals that might be that can be of help to you. You need to figure it out and seek help from professionals. For some of us, we just need maybe coaches to like guide us to be able to figure out the answer to what we're trying to look for. For some of us, we need mentors, somebody to push you ahead and just say, you can do it, you can do it. For some of us, we need to actually go see therapists to walk us through, when we talked about negative past experiences. Some of us are so deep in those experiences that it's hard to like bring you out of it and say go start. So it might be the need for therapy, it might be the need for medical help and all that. But first of all, acknowledge, seek for help, if that is the first step. And also I want to mention everybody's first step is different. Somebody will acknowledge their fear, and immediately they acknowledge Their mindset start to change. They start to set goals. They start more and go on. For someone else, if they acknowledge their fear, the next thing is that, okay, I need to seek help because this is more than me. For somebody else, they probably won't even acknowledge that fear until they seek help first, or someone guides them to seeking help. Because for someone that doesn't acknowledge fear, acknowledge what the issue is, they might not even know or think that they need help. But a lot of us, if a family member, is friends that will say, do you want to go try this out? That is when you start to figure out and acknowledge that, oh, this is happening. This is actually in me, and I need to work it out. So it's not like those strategies are in steps. They are not like you have to do this and do this and do this. They work differently for everybody. But just know that to be able to pursue our purpose, to live a purpose-driven life, to be fulfilled in the place of purpose, fear has no place. Fear of failure has no chair in that gathering, because immediately you give a seat to fear of failure, then there's no moving ahead. There's no moving ahead. So regardless of how you go through those steps, you want to make sure you acknowledge your fear one way or the other. You want to make sure you seek help if needed, and if not, you change your mindset by setting goals, by starting small. And one thing I will always say, for women that are more, always celebrate yourself. Nobody can celebrate your little wins like you will celebrate your little win. Nobody can tell you you did well and give you a pat on the back as much as you will do to yourself. So if it's a little win for you, it might be a little win for the people outside, but when you celebrate yourself, it helps you to want to go ahead and even make bigger wins and even do better at that thing, because you see the little that you got yesterday. So today you want to wake up and just go for it again. And at that point, also, people outside, people elsewhere, friends, families, neighbors might actually not be celebrating you for that. They might not actually see that little win. That's the funniest thing, because every time people are looking for the bigger picture, people around are looking for the bigger picture. And it's like, oh, she started that business. She started that business. What is your revenue this month? And they're waiting for you to say thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Maybe it didn't happen that way. But the fact that you made a sale, regardless of how little the sale is, you still go ahead and celebrate yourself, because in the first place, you didn't even know that you can do that. And you did it. And now people are seeing you. They're looking at you. They're stopping by your store. They're wanting to get knowledge from you. Celebrate your win. Celebrate your win. And once again, just a recap, acknowledge you have a fear. If you can figure it out, seek help from professionals. And if you are able to figure it out, change your mindset, set goals, start small, encourage yourself, celebrate yourself. And those little things set you on a path of losing that fear of failure. That preemptive failure, you start to lose it. Because when you start, you start. And when you start, even if you have others on the way that is kind of feeling like, oh, maybe, because now you're in it and you don't want to fail, you keep going. And for people that keep going, you're hardworking, I bet you it will come out well. It might be tough, it might be hard. For some, it's closer, for some, it's farther away, but your efforts will not go unnoticed by God. So keep at what you're doing, keep fighting the good fight. Don't let the fear of failure stall you in your path, and don't let the fear of failure stop you from starting. Be the woman and more. Once again, thank you. This is the Woman and More. This is your girl, Fumi Shoyomi. Let's go out and explore. Let's go out and achieve. Let's have opportunity of encouraging other people. Let's come back rejoicing because we know we are fulfilled people. Thank you for listening. Have a blessed day. Bye.